The more time you spend in your business, the longer you've been in this business, the more detrimental it is to your growth, which I know sounds totally counterintuitive, but it's been my experiences. What you want to do is have time to work on the business. Hi, this is Coach Joe Lucas, and welcome to the Magellan Network Show. My goal inside of this communication, this show, is to share with you my nearly 30 years of coaching some of the most successful financial advisors in North America. We're going to be talking about strategies, syntaxes. We're going to be bringing guests on from time to time, and I'm going to share with you what's working now. So think of this show as sort of like a little one-on-one kind of mini coaching cast, if you like, where we're going to be going in depth from time to time on strategies to help you grow your business, get more effective, become more efficient, find balance in your time management, grow your business, and quite frankly, whatever else is going on in the world today. So before we get to today's episode, I'd love for you to do a couple things for me. Number one, make sure that if you're watching this on YouTube, that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're doing the audio, make sure that you give us a review on whether it's Spotify or Apple. We'd really appreciate that. And quite frankly, that does help. It does matter when you rate things and like things and subscribe to things. It helps us get the word out to more of the industry. And lastly, I have a very special gift for you. Go to MagellanNetwork.net, so one word, MagellanNetwork.net, and I have for you a complimentary membership, 100% gratis, where you can tap into about between 50 and 75 hours of masterclasses, forms, tools, templates, and strategies. So please go ahead and make sure you go get that claimed, smash the like button and subscribe, and please go ahead and leave us a review on whatever podcasting platform you're on. And now, let's get to this week's episode. Hi, it's your Coach Joe Lucas, and welcome to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Welcome to the month of November 2023. Hope, man, where does this year gone? It's we're running out of runway real quick. So what I want to do this week is kind of continue our theme from last week, which is business / strategic planning. And what I want to do today is talk about why it's important, why advisors a lot of times fail at it, and why it makes you a better professional, business owner, entrepreneur, advisor when you know exactly what you want to do over the next 1, 3, and 10 years. Okay. So let's start with a little history here. All right. I've been coaching advisors now for just about 30 years. Actually, February 15th, 2024 will be my 30th anniversary, believe it or not. And probably right around the year 2000, so whatever, 24 years ago, one of my clients asked me, hey, it would be a really good idea if I could put together like a little program to help with goal setting, like mini business planning, right? So nothing nearly as evolved as we are today. And so, I thought about it. I just moved to Florida. And so we decided to host. It was a little right after 9/11, as a matter of fact. So basically, that December, we brought, I think, it may have been 14 or 15 people to Cocoa Beach at some okay, maybe borderline hotel. And we did a 2-day goal setting, business planning workshop. That was the very first one. Now, why did I do that? Because it did not exist, and it still really does not exist in our industry. I know companies have pieces. I hear like the one-page business plan. How do you sit there and figure out the next 10 years of your professional and personal life in one page? I don't know how you're supposed to do that. So to make a long story short, what I realized was there was a major gap in the industry, so I decided to step in and fill that gap. So over the last several decades, I'm constantly refining our process, constantly like looking at feedback. And, we've evolved now to a 3-day event at the beach down in Fort Lauderdale, close to 100 advisors in the room and several hundred on now we do virtual live streams. And it's really evolved. And so the one thing that I recognize is what holds an advisor back from doing a plan. I think there's a multiple answer to that, but I think the primary answer is that they've done planning in the past and it has not worked. They did goal setting. Maybe they're with an organization, and I can remember from not too long ago, branch managers would just walk around the offices, or there'd be the spreadsheet, the infamous spreadsheet, right? And how much can I put you down for next year? What do you think? And it wasn't really thought out. It was definitely not intentional, and hence you did not get the results you're looking for. So let's fast forward to today, and I don't know how you take your business seriously and your success seriously without doing some serious planning. And, when we look at things in the context, let me give you context. Let's say between the pre-work, doing the planning process, and then some post-deliverables, right? You've got, let's say, 5 business days into this every year. 5. Out of 365. What's that? 1.5% of your time? But yes, the most important thing to do. There's 2 questions I like to ask new advisors when they come talk to me about collaboration, partnering, working with me, which is, first off, tell me where you want to be in 10 years. And if they give me something, I'll say, great, show it to me in writing. They don't have it. And the second thing is, show me your financial plan for yourself and your family. 2 things, And it shocks me, I would say 85% of the advisors I run across don't have those 2 things. And to me, they're like basic. So, and here's the example I want to give you guys. I want you to think about it. Let's just say you're referred to your ideal client. It would be your largest and ideal clients. We're not talking about just like anybody. We're talking about like this one here would really move your needle for whatever reasons, right? And they come to you and they say, hey, I would love to hire you as my advisor. I just need to see 2 things from you. Just show me your personal financial plan. I don't need to see inside of it, but just go on Zoom and show me that you have it. And then the next thing, tell me about your business. Where are you taking it? Like what am I going to be a part of? Can you just, on Zoom, just show me you have a written business plan, right? You have something, right? I think most advisors fail those tests. So here's the thing. If you're going to sit there and say to yourself, I run a business, I run a practice, I'm a professional, I'm serious, I'm committed, but I've got no roadmap in writing, I mean, that just sounds a little incongruent to me. It just does. So that's why for the last 23, 24 years, I've taken days out of my life, brought clients to Florida. We've actually done these in Costa Rica, in the jungle, at the base of a volcano. I mean, we've done some really, really cool things in this process. That's why I take the time to do it. To bring people together, to go through the process, to refine the process, because I think it's that important. Okay? Now, what's this going to do for you if you want to do business planning? A couple things. Number one, it's going to give you a higher degree of certainty of what you want to accomplish. If you're leading a team, one of the things all leaders must do, and I don't care if it's a team of 2 or a team of 200, it doesn't matter. You're also the chief visionary officer. Now, what does that mean? You are painting the future. You're painting the bigger, bolder, brighter future for you and your team. And you know what that is because you've defined it. You've articulated it, right, from that perspective. So important to do, right? And yet, a lot of times, quite frankly, we just give it lip service. There's no intentionality to it. For those of you who are on YouTube, right, or watching the video, for those who are not, I'm going to try to do my best to articulate. So what I have here in front of me is this year's planning process. You see now we call it Magellan Vision Strategic Planning 10X. I want to walk you through real quick, and again, there'll be a link here if you want to check out more. And my goal now is to really kind of walk you through what we do and why we do it, and make the case of why this is different than anything else you've seen. And what I'm also going to try to do is we also have a YouTube video actually walking you through the process of what this all looks like, right? So I'll make sure my team puts that a link in that also here. So mindset. So the first thing in any plan for which I'm concerned, is mindset first, money second. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that if you're going to say, I want to go from 1 million to 2 million, or I want to go from 500,000 to 1 million, or I want to go from 6 million to 12 million, whatever your vision is for you, and it doesn't matter the numbers. The one constant thread on all this is that the current version of you will not accomplish that goal. It just won't. There has to be a newer, more improved version 2.0, 20.0, whatever. There has to be a different version of you to accomplish the goal. And here's the evidence I will give you. I want you to think about who you are today as a person and professional, and I want you to go back 5 years. Are you the same person? Do you have the same capabilities? Do you have the same vision? No, you have more capabilities, better vision, more experience. You're not the same person. So, point is that if you know that you've evolved over the last 5 years to get to the point today, and your business is a byproduct of that evolution, and let's just say it was done probably not as focused, not with the greatest level of intentionality, then if you want to double your business or triple it or 5x, whatever, then we've got to, with intention, figure out what your identity and what your mindset needs to be to accomplish that mission. Mindset first, money second. Next, gratitude, goals. One of the coolest things I get to do, and there's video on YouTube on it, and for some of you actually will be there, next week, is day 2, sunrise. We bring all of our participants out to the beach. It's still dark out. We sit on the beach in Fort Lauderdale. I want you to imagine this. Hi, Coach Joe Lucas here, and I'm just breaking here for a moment just to do a couple quick reminders. Number one, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel or our podcast. In addition, please leave a comment or a review. Those things really, really matter. And share this episode with 3 of your colleagues inside the financial services space. And lastly, make sure that you go ahead and claim your free membership inside of Magellan Network. Now back to this week's episode. And we're journaling what we're grateful for. We're writing down goals, business goals, personal goals. We're thinking about bucket lists, what our ideal life or our perfect life would be, our aspirational situation. We're doing this as the sun's coming up over the horizon, over the Atlantic Ocean. You can't find a more powerful place to do this. One of my favorite things I get to do, right? Really cool. What's next? Tell me where you want to be in 10 years. Now, let's have a real quick conversation about that. 10 years is a long time. A lot can happen, a lot can change. And I understand that. So it's conceptual at some level. Swags, right? Stupid, wild, blank, guess. I get it. But you got to know if you're sailing north, south, east, or west. So even though you may not be precise a decade out, you got to know at least which direction you're going. Fair enough? Then we're going to break it down to a 3-year plan, 36 months. That's where the gut is. That's where the meat is of this whole process. Why? Because 36 months is not tomorrow, but it's not 10 years out. It's where most of the work gets done, where the real thinking has to happen is in that 36 month to 3-year window. What most human beings do, / advisors do, and I want you to think about this, in most cases the goals are good, the timelines are not. We'll overestimate our capabilities in the short term and underestimate them in the long term. So having that 3-year window in there is a really good kind of sweet spot where it's, like I said, far enough out where you can kind of do a little long term, things may take time to change and to elevate and to move the needle. It's not next week, but it's close enough you can see it pretty clearly. Really, really important. Next piece, the 1 year, right? Hey, what are we going to do in this case, 2024? What are our goals, personally and professionally, we want to do? Next. By the way, there's 13 modules here. Number 7, personal professional development game plans. Here's the bottom line. So part of this process, we're going to make sure that you're going to assign a budget, economics, and what you're going to do with that budget. So we have a philosophy here of what I call 10-10. Take 10% of your revenue and 10% of your time and reinvest it back into you. It will give you the biggest payoff, and this will be probably a conversation for next week, why personal development planning and personal development budgets and going for coaching and training and coursework and masterminds and all things are so critical, reinvesting back in you. And if you're a leader, you must be reinvesting back in your people too, right? So this is in writing. Like, we don't sit there and say, okay, what do you want to learn? What are the resources? We walk you all through that, right? Next. So we got a great vision, right? We know 10-year, 3-year, 1 year. Okay, where does the rubber meet the road? Now let's get really tactical. So we're going to talk about strategic calendars, like having a calendar that's 2, 3, 4, 8, 12 quarters out, where you're going to put your vacation renewal time in. You're going to put your working in the business tactical time in. You're going to put your working on the business strategic time in. Like, you're going to do all those things with absolute certainty, because you cannot evolve. And this is going to sound counterintuitive for a second. The more time you spend in your business, the longer you've been in this business, the more detrimental it is to your growth, which I know sounds totally counterintuitive, but it's been my experiences. What you want to do is have time to work on the business, systems, strategies, conferences, trainings, right? The advisors are coming to Fort Lauderdale, whether they're coming physically there or they're going to remote in on our live stream. Guess what? For 3 days, they're working on their business. 3 days, full days, working on their business. Next, we're going to create a 2-page summary. Why are we going to create a 2-page summary? By the way, this book, the template is 65 pages. Who's going to read this every day? No one. I know that. So we're going to take all this, break it down to a 2-page summary, which we're going to read every day, every morning. So think about the power of connecting with your 10-year vision every morning. You think that's going to move the needle for you? Next, we're going to talk about how to create a powerful morning ritual. We call them a Magellan Power Hour, where you're going to have a window of time every morning to get your mind right, to do this work, to rep it out, to keep it in front of you throughout the year. Super important. We're going to talk about quarterly game plans, weekly game plans, daily game plans. Now, why is this important? My experience is an advisor who has a written plan that is reviewed on a regular basis. That's why we have the template, 65 pages. You review that once a week. The summary review every morning. Every 2 pages. 5 minutes to stay connected to your vision. Advisors who do that are going to produce more. They're going to be more successful. They're going to be more organized. They're going to have more network. It is what it is, right? And I have a ton of evidence on that. If you don't know where you're going, you'll default to just trying to make some money, survival plus 5 or 10%. And with all the opportunity over the next 5 to 8 years with the boomer retirements, advisor retirements, business owners retiring, right? Liquidity, all over the place. Don't you want to be at your best? I mean, that's why I look at it. I was talking to somebody the other day. It was a referral. And we're talking about, and this is a pretty successful part of it. We're talking 7-figure practice, doing really well. And the subject of, because time of year, right? I'm knee deep in strategic planning for my clients, getting ready to do all that. I said, tell me what you do for business planning. He goes, oh man, I've never done. Maybe in January I'll write some stuff down and stuff like that, and and it's worked really well for me. I said, I don't know, has it? You've been in business, 20 years, and you just hit a mill. I can submit to you, if you were doing planning for the last 10 years, you'd be at 3 million right now. And he didn't know what to say to that. He kind of looked at me like, maybe I'm right. So what I want to say to you right now And look, my goal here in this episode, and you guys know this, who've been watching and listening to me for a while, I always like to shoot straight. I don't use a lot of big words because that's just not how I roll. Here's the bottom line. If you don't do planning, fine. It doesn't mean you can't grow your business. It doesn't mean you won't move the needle next year or in subsequent years. All it means is you're just not going to move as much. You won't move as fast. You won't move as effortless as it could be done. That's all it means. So I want you to think about that. And look, I don't care. Use my process. I'm happy. Again, there'll be a link here if you want to take advantage of that. I'm just going to say this right now. It doesn't have to be with me. If you're with another coaching program, fine. Or another coach, fine. Make sure you do not go into this game next year without an absolute written mission of what you want to accomplish. Otherwise, the default is survival. Last piece. When you put it in writing, you're putting yourself, yes, you're challenging yourself. You're making it real. Well, Joe, what if I write it down, it doesn't work? Well, there's a reason for that, right? Writing it down is part of the recipe, but it is not the entire recipe. Writing it down and then seeing it every time, sidebar real quick. So for those advisors who have business plans, right? Next question, how often do you read it? And I remember this a couple of years ago, I was talking to an advisor and their firm, decent planning, like he sent me a copy of it. And I it's not bad. Some of it was, I think Horse's Mouth had a version of my stuff for a while up there. And that's just not bad. I go, let me ask you a question, man. When's the last time you read it? He goes, I had to find it for you. So I probably haven't read it in about 6 months. I said, well, there we go. Right? So here's the reality. It's like putting a financial plan together for a client. If you put it together and then it never gets looked at again, never gets acted on, right? What have we done? It's been an academic exercise. That's all it is. So if you're going to do planning, it's not about doing it. It's about incorporating it into your business model. And like I said, we have built-in processes for reviewing it, the 2-page summary, making sure that every weekend you read the whole template, right? The whole workbook. Why? Repetition is the mother of excellence. It just is. So you don't do something once and say, okay, I got it. Especially when it's all about you. So just keep that in mind, okay? I want to thank you for giving me your time today in this episode. You found this valuable. Please share this with your friends and colleagues in the game. I really appreciate that. Always looking to help more advisors, improve our reach, add more value. And again, there's some links here to take advantage or find out more about our strategic planning process. And I will see you next week. Now, next week I will be actually doing the process, but I will have something for you, maybe even not a live remote, but maybe I'll be recording from Fort Lauderdale. We'll see. Thank you for this episode, and see you all again in 7 days. Thank you for watching or listening to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Hey, if any of this resonated with you, I invite you to come to MagellanNetwork.net, and we have a powerful group coaching community of like-minded advisors. Come in for a trial. You and I will have a one-on-one conversation. Let's see if I can help elevate your game, both personally and professionally.